chance to partner in person, to get a chance to partner in person with you, Dr. Thomas, and Marjorie, and all of our friends at the Piedmont chapter SCORE, and working with folks that are considering or at least interested in starting a business here, most likely in the upstate of South Carolina, if they're zooming in with us. So this is a real treat for me. Really, guys, in today's time, we're going to cover really three primary objectives. One, we're going to provide a little more of a deep dive regarding our Small Business Development Center statewide consortium in general, our Clemson team in particular, and our friends at SCORE nationwide in general, and our friends at Piedmont chapter of SCORE in particular. And really, that's kind of a housekeeping, something you got to go through to check a box such that you guys then will have access to working with us through the process that we advocate for starting a business. Secondly, since we do advocate a general process for starting a business, we feel like as a professional courtesy, we owe you kind of the case for the process. So we're going to kind of drill into that, provide an overview of the process, and make the case for it. And then last, but certainly not least, we're just going to tee it up and give you a heads up of what is coming to you next, how to actually then proceed in concert with us in support of you in a collaborative manner through the process. Here's the thing. While over 99% of all legal business entities nationwide, and South Carolina is no different, are officially for-profit small business entities. And by the way, as a sector, the for-profit small business sector employs over 40% of the private sector workforce nationwide. It's a little over 43% last count. And statewide, you guys, as a sector, the for-profit small business sector here in South Carolina employ over 42% of the private sector workforce. So you guys are a huge part of our quality of life, a huge part of our economy, nationwide and statewide here in South Carolina. And that's the great news. The challenge or the concern I should say, is from long-term deep dive small business administration data, less than 3 in 10 businesses started here in the U.S. will celebrate a 10-year anniversary. And there's some key reasons for that. So the key headwinds that we really want to be aware of would be this: who is the target market? So lack of target market awareness, and thus lack of a compelling why you. Why should your target market do business with you given all their other options at their disposal? That to us is a market feasibility issue that needs to be probed and assessed early on in the process to best position you for making a clear-eyed adult decision as you move forward in the process of starting a business. And then another key headwind that's been there for 4 decades and counting: lack of adequate capital on the front end. So you've got market feasibility concerns, and then you've got those on the financial feasibility concern spectrum that need to be assessed early on. And we have a process that allows to do that and then move forward. Also rearing its head consistently as a culprit for creating challenges to a point of mission critical, turn the lights out, the project's over for over 7 out of 10. Over 70% of the folks that start a business here in the U.S. may be inadequate management or leadership skills. You may be literally a master of the industry in which you're looking to compete or something similar, but you may simply have some blind spots if you've never built and led a team or managed a business concern. So with that said, our small business development centers and our friends at SCORE nationwide were developed to allow you guys as entrepreneurs, as risk takers, as folks that are looking to start and build a business the right way here in the U.S., some ongoing guidance at no cost to lean into. So we do provide that through our respective entities: no cost professional guidance and mentorship, and then no and low cost business training, and then access to complementary support resources. So first of all, about our extended Small Business Development Center, Our center is part of a national network of accredited SBDCs. We're funded through a matching grant that's administered by our friends at the Small Business Administration. And that is a match grant. So the state of South Carolina, since 1979, has made an investment to stand up a statewide consortium we brand as the South Carolina Small Business Development Centers. You'll see our dragging my cursor over our statewide consortium brand, and to be available to the folks that are building businesses here in the U.S. Our SBDCs focus on for-profit small business concerns here in South Carolina. And honestly, that's it. If it doesn't really matter where you are in your journey, most of our clients are existing healthy businesses that are committed to growing the right way. And that means strategically with intention, such to better position themselves for the long run, long-term success by thinking big and focusing small. And we have a method and madness that we bring to that madness as well. But we're looking to startups. We're looking at startups here. And again, doesn't really matter. Our SBDCs, where you are in your journey, our SBDCs are here to support you through our scope of work. And really, my immediate team is hosted by the Powers Family College of Business here at Clemson University. So my immediate teammates as I and are Clemson employees. And we're really honored to wear the brand and support Clemson University's commitment to transforming lives through service. Service builds community is the way we like to think of it at Clemson. And we're really honored to be a service to you guys. We work statewide with our peers, our counterparts, if you would, at South Carolina State, USC, and Winthrop University at their respective schools of business. So together, since 1979, we make up our statewide South Carolina Small Business Development Centers. Our friends at Piedmont Chapter Core of SCORE, they are part of a national network of SCORE volunteers that are 10,000 plus strong at this point and 100% dedicated also to the support of small business. They are also their volunteer group, but their efforts are administered as well by our friends at the Small Business Administration. So the key point I would make as we close the books on our first objective, a little deeper dive of who we are, what we do, and why, from an SBDC and a SCORE perspective, the one thing I want you to really understand is we're not mutually exclusive. You can and should, would be my suggestion, should have a SCORE mentor. And then you can and should also, at the proper time, seek Small Business Development Center support as part of that. We're not mutually exclusive. We're designed to be complementary in support of you. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through our time here together. So first objective, let's put a check on that. And again, second objective that brings us together today, as I mentioned earlier, is a professional courtesy, providing you then with an overview of the process in general that we advocate for starting a business. And so I'd like to do that at this point in time. We adopt the carpenter's rule: measure twice, cut once. It's as simple as that. Again, think about those key headwinds that create over 70 mission critical, turn out the lights, the project's over challenges for over 7 out of every 10 business that starts here in the U.S. And this is long-term data. Think about those key headwinds. Again, the first two were linked specifically to market feasibility, understanding who the market is, therefore relative to the competitive landscape and what would set you apart, making the case such that you would have confidence in earning your fair share of business to make it work for you. So that's a market feasibility issue. And then secondly, lack of adequate capital on the front end. So there's an insolvency issue there. So the money's out, it's over, right? And so that's a financial feasibility concern. Our process, again, is designed to measure twice before you move forward and start this business. Again, that's That's looking after yourself and your own interests, including your family's interests, your interests, before you move forward and try to help other people by building a business. So think about the airplane instructions. You got to put the mask on yourself, right? And then you can help your friend sitting beside you if they're having issues getting their oxygen mask on. Same thing we're talking about. So you're trying to build a business, like most likely you're trying to make a difference for other people through some passion. That's honorable. That's more than honorable. What we say is measure twice before you put this thing in play. Let's make sure you have optimal confidence around it as much as you can before you take the risk and put things in place. So that's really what we're talking about. We look at one line of early assessment as very preliminary, and then another assessment that follows a more extensive plan. So really low hanging kind of fruit is kind of where we start typically with folks looking to start a business. We're kind of probing, is it the right fit and right time for you? And does it appear that the idea is a good fit for you and your background and what you bring to the table, and the market conditions appear to be somewhat favorable for starting a business. All these things would be rolled into kind of low hanging fruit. What do you already know now? And what can you get your arms around in a hurry to further assess? And just given that, does it appear that you could actually build a sustainable business to pay all concerned and pay all the bills, pay everybody concerned, and then still allow you enough to draw out of the business to meet your personal goals? Does it appear that that's feasible based on the low-hanging fruit early assessment of market conditions? We typically use a pitch or a lean plan or a business canvas map. These are all designed to be kind of first guard, first stop, low-hanging fruit assessment tools for a business project. And that's really what we typically employ. And then let's say you move forward from there. Now we're kind of using caution. So we're past a red light. In a red light, we don't move forward. We keep moving, right? Or we stay stopped. And then now we're shifting the light to yellow. And now you can proceed with caution. This is a much deeper dive. This is a second tier assessment. So again, the old Carpenter's rule: measure twice, cut once. This is that second measure. We're looking at a lot more professional collaboration with you. So hopefully at this point you will have been working with your SCORE mentor, working through early assessment. And at some point you feel like, yes, this project has legs. We're moving forward with some early optimism, cautiously optimistic, but still there's a reason to believe, yeah, we've got market feasibility base components that we've assessed. It appears that we could actually build a viable, solvent business around this, given the capital we have access to and what we can bring to the table and attract. So now we're moving forward. This is a much deeper dive. It involves a full-blown market study. This is macro, micro market research support. Our SBDC team can bring this layer of support into the project to complement what you guys are building with your SCORE mentor. And of course, the SCORE mentor and SCORE team, they're going to be working collaboratively with you to develop out full assessment. And again, we'll see where the gaps are. If and when our SBDC is invited to collaborate with you guys, and then add to it. And again, we're designed to be complementary, not mutually exclusive, and there's no charge from either your SCORE or your SBDC consultant support at any time, ever. Financial modeling. At this point, we will engage in a professional level financial modeling of us to assess and really stress test the business model as proposed. Looking at worst case set of assumptions, just to test for feasibility on the solvency side. Just make sure got enough cash flow to keep this thing moving. If what you've assessed and through market conditions is the worst case. And then all this work drives to develop a full marketing plan, and it spans upon a full business plan. That's your game plan. That's what you'll be using to operate by if you move forward. If you need capital to complement what you have to put into the project personally, then you're going to need a full business plan as a supporting document for most small business loans as well. So you're going to have what you need as a deliverable, but trust me, it's a byproduct. The value in the process, it primarily is in feasibility assessment checkpoints that you're able to navigate through the support of your SCORE mentor and SBDC consultant. So if we think about it that way, and we lean heavily into collaborative planning as our tool of choice. When I say collaborative, that means you have a role. It's it's your project. It's your business that you're assessing, your business project. We have a scope of work, SCORE in our SBDC, and we're honored to bring that to the table. They'll be most of the time we're kind of leading the dance because this is what we do professionally. So the experience curve, we have a huge advantage over most of you, unless you're kind of a serial entrepreneur and you've been through this many times successfully. That might be a little different for you. But we typically lead the dance, but make no mistake about it, it's your dance, it's your project. And so there will be things we'll be asking you to take care of as part of the project assignment. So it's truly a collaborative effort as we move through. So those are the first two measures: measure twice, and then if you decide to move forward, cut once or launch the business. Well, you'll definitely want to take your business plan, and then from that, we typically would flesh out or sketch out, if you would, a set of what I just call pre-launch activities. What things do you need to do, and in what order, to start a business in the right way here in South Carolina, making sure that you've got the right legal structure for you dialed in, and then as an agent of the legal structure, you've applied and you've got the right licensing, permits, um, regulatory compliance, credentials, all that kind of stuff. So making sure that's buttoned up the right way and that you've opened a business checking account, again, as an agent on behalf of the legal entity, not you personally, typically. So it's just making sure you've got this, and then you've got things you've got to put into action that are really components of the business aspect of the plan itself. A lot of that typically resides in marketing collateral and digital marketing platform support. There could be some operational infrastructure to be developed. It could be a lot. It just kind of depends on the nature of the project, right? So pre-launch activities, again, which domino should be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and why, and getting that dialed in, and then navigating through that with a really high comfort level. And again, we being inclusively referencing our friends at SCORE as well as our SBDC counterparts here to support you. We do bring that level of support to the table. And then last, eventually, this typically is 2 or 3 years out in time when the dust settles on a business that's considered fresh startup. You know, let's say you guys, your needs will be different. If you're trying to build something bigger than you, bigger than a one person show type of thing, there's a process we advocate for doing that. And it's really a strategic management process. And typically that involves scaling growth such that your marginal returns are higher. So it's just looking at it from an elevated perspective. And again, we being our friends at SCORE and our SBDC, we provide ongoing support because your needs will change. And it doesn't really matter how long you've been in business. We're designed to be here to support you. And we've built in our SBDC an elevated suite of services that are reserved for what we refer to internally as select growth clients. These are really healthy businesses. They've been in business at least typically 3 years. and profitable for at least 2. And the owners committed to building something beyond themselves and adding jobs here in South Carolina. So that's kind of the way that goes. And again, there's no fee for that support as well. And typically that's strategic growth plan support, and it comes with strategic assessment, professionalism, and collaborative professionalism and tools that we bring to the party, if you would, along those lines. So again, 3 things brought us together today. And the first was a deeper dive on who we are, what we do. That's a housekeeping requirement for access to a SCORE mentor and subsequent access to an SBDC consultant to collaborate and work with you. And then, so we've done that. And then now we made the case. And then we made the case for the process we advocate for starting a business and why. And now the third objective that brought us together today is just tee it up from you. You guys, as you registered, you'll actually receive an email recap from one of our friends at SCORE. And that's going to move you forward in the process. So, you've taken care of one chore you had to take care of to be introduced and access the SCORE mentor likely. And you've got that behind you now. So you've done that part. That mentor will be assigned to you. So just look for the email recap, move forward in it. You kind of understand they're going to be looking to assess low-hanging fruit through a specific tool and business canvas map or lean plan, some variation thereof. And then they're going to have conversation with you as you kind of build upon that work and refine it, and get you to a point where you can make a more adult decision with more clear eyes regarding moving forward for a ramped up assessment that's going to require you a lot more time and attention, and it's going to require your SCORE mentor a lot more attention and time investment into the project. And we're hoping you guys would seek to loop in Small Business Development Center support at that point in time. And if they forget to do that, or if you're not sure, then that's something you can ask your SCORE mentor to have that conversation, and we can make it happen. So that's really not a problem. We look forward to doing that. And so that's really, and then, we move through the process. This is really the only time that I'm aware of that you guys would actually be working with other small business clients in a call, unless it's some, professional development that you seek out on your own. As far as the consulting and mentoring process, that's typically one-on-one with you guys after this time together. And, it's as simple as that. So with that, I'll, you see our contact information here. And again, you're going to get an email recap from our friends at SCORE to put everything in play. But I'll stay on the call as long as you guys have any questions. And I'll yield the floor at this point. I see some things in chat.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, first of all,
Sure.
for such a content-packed presentation. I'm sure the audience would have questions, and I encourage them to put their questions in the chat. And we all right now see one question, which is typically what we get from other presentations too. It's about the business owner needing funds for his small business. So basically, they want to find money to buy various carpentry tools and a large machine. They don't have a credit history, so how do they go about finding financing for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's 2 things. One I would suggest, as I mentioned earlier, most small business loan funders require a comprehensive business plan to support a small business loan request. So really, again, just to reiterate, as you work through our process, that's a byproduct. It is a value add, but it's a secondary value add. That primary value add, as I mentioned earlier, is obtained by working through the process to assess feasibility at various checkpoints. Again, That's a risk mitigation approach or strategy, if you would. That said, nobody's going to fund 100%. I mean, there's no small business loan program out there that will provide 100% funding for a small business startup. So, you're going to have what is considered skin in the game. That would be some level of cash investment is typically looked at as a percentage of the overall project. Depending on the nature of the project, you're looking from 10 to 30%. And so let's just use 20%, split the difference for, hypothetical. So you're going to need that. The other thing is, they will underwrite based on credit worthiness of any owner that's 20% ownership or more. And so let's see, on this particular question they were asking, they said they have no credit history at this point. Well, that's a chore. That's something, you see it's going to be a roadblock. So this is what I would say. If you've got the down, let's say the 20+% already, my thing is I'd start working with my SCORE mentor, and your SCORE mentor can actually reach out to one of the many small business loan program reps. We all have relationships with these folks, our SCORE professionals, as well as our my SBDC counterpart professionals. And we can ask, okay, let me just make sure I've got this one. We're working on this preliminary assessment. This looks like a really sound project on the feasibility side. And they've got, 20%, 30% of total project cost, whatever it is. Here's the thing, they don't have bad credit. They simply don't have credit. They have no established credit. Is this something you can take on, or is this a chore they need to knock out and then circle back to you? So that's what I would do. That's going to happen, early in the process. And that's the way I would advise you. If it turns out that there's no small business loan program that will be able to move forward and fund you with lack of credit history, then your SCORE mentor is positioned as good as anybody else to actually provide you a roadmap and supporting resource access to build your credit, to establish your credit. And we do the same thing with folks that come to us early on in the SBDC as well. And so, we'll arm you with that, and they'll typically give you the guidance that would give you a heads up regarding some credit restoration scams that are out there. So we lean on the federal support, for that kind of guidance, and our SCORE mentors likely do as well. So yeah, see, so that's it. Sometimes, sometimes but we'll just make sure. Always the market conditions change with loan programs, and especially those aligned with the Small Business Administration for small business lending. So something like this, it's just a quick call. We just want to make sure, hey, my thinking's on par. I really need this client while we're working with them on their game plan to go ahead and take intentionally proactive steps to develop credit to complement their down payment. Or they may say, nah, given the other dimensions of the project scope, Ben, I'm good to go. Let's see what they got. So be one or the other.
Thank you, Ben. I hope that answers the attendee's question. I don't see any other questions. So I guess we could wind up oh, there's one more. Do you know about Business Accelerator?
Could you repeat that question?
Do we know about the Business Accelerator?
Business Accelerator. Well, it depends on which one. There's several that I am familiar with, and there's some but they're fairly numerous. So, we've Oconee County funds one in Walhalla, and our
Oh,
friend, I think Terry McKinney might still, kind of manage that concern, or Dave Eldridge and some of our close friends there. So there's one there. Those are typically Oconee County based projects. And then you're going to find several, but you'll find, you'll find some in almost every county. So those are usually county fund, like local funding. And then you may find some in Main Street, downtown / Main Street districts. So they're numerous. So really what I would suggest is, again, I'd work through the process. That would be an early ask that I would be asking, as you get started with your SCORE mentor. And, those are ones that we're likely knowing what's there. And some of them haven't been announced yet. I mean, we're partnering with the new one in the upstate, and they haven't announced yet. So, and that announcement, I think, is scheduled within the next 2 weeks. So, but those are kind of fluid situations. So again, that's part of the value add of working with the SCORE mentor, and then the SBDC, being looped in, when you guys get into the secondary assessment of a project that's moving forward, is just making sure if there's a complementary support resource that fits with your project scope, that you're not missing it. And that would be part of that. Yeah. And for you guys that might be on the call, not understanding, so the question is, if we knew of an accelerator. And so small business accelerators, it could be a support resource. It could provide space at, subsidized rate, and other complementary support, that might be brought to bear. So those was just kind of a side discussion we were having, or really direct guidance just based on that. So I'd say work the process. And again, with that, everything should be assessed. And certainly place is critical. It's an early assessment kind of thing. Sure.
hey Ben, thanks for that. A question for you.
Mhm.
Where is the space for the business accelerator located? Is it in the same Valhalla office location?
Mhm.
Do
Yeah,
you
the one
know?
for Oconee County is there behind that. Yeah, it's just right off of Main Street there, and it's so. But yes, you can see it from Main that going out the other side of Main Street, heading up the mountain, in that direction on the left. It was a Bantam chef or something with a huge chicken there on
Mm.
the left, and a little burger stand or something like a Bantam chef just right behind. Yeah, I mean that's the
Oh,
parking lot for it. Yeah, so it's really conveniently located. Coney County is such a small county.
mhm.
It's not that big a drive cutting over from Westminster even, or Seneca. And I think if somebody's building something in downtown Seneca or looking at something in downtown Seneca, there may be a separate initiative that might fit them, in the city of Seneca as well. So again, and then you could see, be the same thing for almost Greenville.
Mhm.
Has several niched players that align with the ecosystems there, depending on the project scope.
Mm.
So does Spartanburg, and so does Anderson. So and then you got the Glen. So again, that's kind of a geographic centric kind of response. Yeah.
So it's basically project scope and county, which
Mhm.
are the two factors you need to
Yeah, I
consider.
would. Yeah, a lot of those are local funded. They're county or even more local, more dialed in, more micro, one or the other. So it's kind of, yeah, I always start with kind of what's the general county, and, where was the client, what are they looking at doing? I'm not a huge fan of altering a game plan
Mhm.
based on short-term incentives, but sometimes it makes sense. I mean, sometimes, where you're building the business from is somewhat, somewhat irrelevant. It's just a matter of preference, depending on what it is. And when that's the case, yeah, you want to definitely make sure you're not losing, any potential support you could get, garner, especially on the front end. And so, yeah, it just kind of flows from there. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
The next question is, how does the person that didn't get a contact at SCORE to help me? Do I wait for an email? Do you want to take it?
Yeah, that absolutely. So go back one slide. And really, it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. You will get an email recap from our friends at SCORE. And typically that's, I'd be surprised if that's not by the close of business tomorrow. Usually it's fairly prompt. And then,
Well, for this time, I think next week, maybe.
yeah,
I
well, I
don't,
keep forgetting, we're kind of in a holiday
in a
thing. So a
holiday.
lot of folks are off the rest of the week. Yeah, sorry. So I would say, look for that this coming week. And I would just follow the guidance. So what happens, SCORE, as well as our SBDC, for folks that are looking to start a business, we have so many requests that come our way. I mean, there were 30 some odd folks signed up for this call in itself, and we do similar stuff. So, access points. But so what I'd suggest is, so we're just managing that flow such that we can actually provide each and everyone the dedicated, personalized service they deserve. So, and so this is part of the process. So, things that we went over, we can do with 30, 50, 100, 200 on a call. And it really frees up a bottleneck. So if you have one SCORE mentor having to talk to 30 people, and we see they got to go over the same stuff we just went over. I mean, it's required to do that such that you have access at no cost through the SBA grant initiatives. So we just created, what we did today is leapfrog you guys ahead, probably 2 weeks in a queue. And so that email follow-up is going to give you what you need. And then it'll allow, so the mentor that you'll be assigned will know you've got this part taken care of. They don't, that this is done. They don't have to route you through one of these. You're clear to go, and they're ready to, they're ready to meet you wherever you are in the process and work with you. It's as simple as that. But answer to your question is yes, you'll respond to that SCORE email, and that'll move you forward. And there's never a cost, for anything that we could do to help you through our our outreach at all whatsoever. Yeah.
And the follow-up question to that, I believe, is can I write to you and ask for a business mentor for us? I don't know, you meaning you, Ben, or me.
Yeah. Well, if it's a mentor, so if you registered, so when you registered, so I'm going to assume that, and Bina, correct me if I'm wrong on the SCORES process to access a mentor. I think if they accessed a mentor, they would have been looped to register into this. Or if you register into this, you'll get this. So that email will actually facilitate connecting you to a mentor. The email recap, that's really what that's going to do. So that you just follow the email guidance. The email guidance is what you would do, and it's all baked into it. So, just really tried to simplify that for you. So, you don't, so all you got to do is grab that email and run with it. Just, follow the guidance on it. That should expedite you with getting you connected with your SCORE mentor, is really what it's designed to do. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Ben. And I
Sure.
think that's all for now.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to wind up, and we'll give some time back to our attendees, and hopefully they will be able to connect with either SCORE or SBDC for their further questions. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day and the rest of the year. Happy New Year once again to everyone, and be warm.
Happy New Year. Thanks, Dr. Thomas. Happy New Year, guys.